advertise pick him so highly.
Well, at the moment, he is going to be banned away. WE get rid of the Lissandra once again as Vici throwing the gauntlet. They want to get rid of both of 957's champions that can carry towards the top side of the map in the Aurelia and the Gangplank. And now we'll see whether WE get rid of something like the Malzahar or the Vladimir, and they don't. Alistair banned away from Caveman.
So the Kog'Maw, the Shen still available. Like you said, though, that with Hecarim banned, it makes picking Shen a bit more difficult or a bit more lackluster.
Right now, Vici wondering whether they want to ban the Bloodlord or that Voidy guy throwing out all of his little pets everywhere. And it's going to be nah. They're going for a trade. Froscarin, what do you reckon's better, Malzahar or Vladimir?
Malzahar.
WE disagree. Shea, of course, a big fan of Vlad. He's actually managed to play it 4 times so far.
This has happened to so many teams, though, where they pick... I'm going to explain to you why Malzahar is better than Vladimir.
Okay, go.
Because they pick Vlad, and then they take 0 CC in any of their compositions, and they just get out-kited.
Yeah.
Malzahar will not only give you the same wave control that Vladimir will give you, although Vladimir is punishing it not only with his superior wave clear on E, but also his ability to out-trade you with his stacked up blood into Q.
Yeah.
But Malzahar will offer that hard CC. He'll offer much stronger monster objective control with higher priority on Barons, on Dragons. It makes him just stronger in the meta right now. Just think that across the board, he's the better pick.
Well, Easy Hoon's only played it once so far. I don't believe he picked up a victory as well, if my memory can go back that far. So Vici's still wondering whether or not to pick it, but they are going to hover it for the moment. 10 seconds to go. It is going to be Shen locked in, and there's the Malzahar. So both of them already picked up. Xie going for the classic counter pick in the Teemo.
This should show that Mystic will be back on that Sivir. Typically, Vladimir and Sivir are the go-to combo, obviously augmenting a lot of Sivir's ricochet damage with his Hemo Plague. I'd like to see Kandi go towards more of an aggressive jungler like the Kha'Zix, like the Graves, although it'd be cool to see a Sejuani come out.
Yeah, I reckon it'd be really cool. Of course, AoE lockdown, a bit of fun. 957 thinking about heading towards the tree. Get himself once again in a good flanking position with the champion.
If I'm Vici, though, I'm locking in Sivir.
Yeah, Sivir Braum already. I mean, looks like a no-brainer to me.
But they probably won't because P doesn't necessarily... I mean, he plays it, but it's not his comfort go-to.
Yeah. I think even something like, you know, Braum Twitch is fine here as well. Or Jhin. Jhin sounds good. But picking Jhin into Bard is an odd choice, just because Tempered Fate's so good when he sets up his Curtain Call. Not to mention, Zero's Bard needs no introduction, and how incredibly good he is on the champion.
I just think they'd get more out of the Twitch pick. Xuan P in particular has shown himself to be a strong Twitch player.
Yeah.
You have Shen already available to you, so you have a lot of protection against a backline dive.
As Easy Hoon thinking about grabbing the Graves for Dandy. We wondered whether or not he was going to go for more of a carry threat now that his Hecarim was unavailable, and it looks like the answer is most definitely yes, and that's Ashe locked in for Xuan P as well. So as far as single target lockdown is concerned, Vici have got it in spades.
They've got a ton of CC riddled throughout their composition, but kind of a head scratcher. They swap in Xuan P and they make him play the utility, and this is the big gripe that I've had with Vici.
Yeah.
Is that they don't seem to recognize the identity difference between their 280 carries.
Well, Mystic actually looking to complete that very powerful level 1 bottom lane in the Bard Ezreal. Mystic Shot plus the Cosmic Binding. Pretty good first abilities to take as a level 1. Now Condi thinking about heading back to another one of his most played champions in the jungle role as Rek'Sai and Elise. Certainly getting up there as far as games played for the jungler. 11 times on Rek'Sai.
This would just be across-the-board comfort picks for every single member of Team WE. It doesn't necessarily have the synergy that we're used to seeing in their 5v5 composition, but again, this series doesn't mean anything for Team WE. It's not a must-win.
No, they're already locked in that second position. Of course, if IMA are able to beat RNG in our final game of tonight, they will be able to at least equal out on scoreline. But WE do have the head-to-head, so that is definitely locked in second place for them. It's now Vici looking about their final pick, Caveman. Throw in his choice. Of course, a lot of options. Can head straight back to his most played in the Braum, but can play Thresh, play Karma. Can do what he likes here in this bottom lane, but I do like the mustache lane, as you like to call it, Frostgreen. And it is going to be locked in.
Okay, so again, even more CC. In fact, the only champion that doesn't have CC is Graves.
Yeah. So it was a situation where, you know, the Hecarim, incredibly important in fearing the backline, but now Dandy doesn't have any of the onus on him as far as, you know, starting off the fights, any sort of that initiation. He's now on cleanup duty, where that collateral damage does a heck of a lot of work. He can use it in the right position. But you look over the side of WE, you mentioned Comfort, 957. That's his most played champion in the Maokai. Xie, of course, now able to play with reckless abandon in the mid lane, clear everything out, even won't worry too much about Voidlings, because Tides of Blood is a pretty silly button to be able to press.
But frankly, across the board, I feel like Team WE again fumbled the draft and just got outdrafted at almost every single position. Again, these are comfort picks, so if anyone knows how to execute this composition, Team WE do.
Yep.
But this is going to be an uphill climb if Vici managed to neutralize and stay even in the lanes.
And no one saw that. Of course, Condi was always playing Rek'Sai.
It
wasn't a Graves versus Graves for a moment there, which I thought was quite cute because Condi does love to play the shotgun-toting man in the jungle if he can, but back on the champion that he debuted in the LPL on. So 957 up there as the tree on the top side of the map. Mystic and Zero very comfortable on their champions. It's only Xie, I guess, that's not on super comfort mode. But we'll see whether they're going to be able to get it done as we hop onto the rift for game number 2 between Vici and WE. Thank you very much, 957. Here we are, onto the rift for game number 2. WE versus Vici, and WE now looking to fight back against a Vici that looked dominant in game 1.
So I have a riddle, Atlas.
Oh, yeah?
957. If you look at your number keyboard, 957 creates a V in the numbers that you press.
All right.
And there's kind of
on the numpad.
Yeah, on the
All
number
right, got
pad.
it. Yep.
Everyone look at your keyboard.
Yep,
You
look
can
at
see
your numpad.
957 creates a V.
We've
Excellent.
got
A pause.
So we've got plenty of time to discuss it.
There's a joke going around that 957 and newbies top laner V look incredibly similar. They have very similar glasses. And that I think if you actually face swapped them, it's like the difference between Rusty and Jake. You just can't tell.
I'm not... Look, I don't know whether it's all that true.
I have the question, though. Is he 957 because it makes the V on the keyboard? And is that where he got his name? Or was he 957 and then someone just magically found out that he looked like V? Because it's just a running joke in the Chinese community right now.
Or is V just a massive fan of join the dot puzzles? Where
Possibly.
He just joined the dots.
That would really explain some of newbies' compositions recently. Connecting the dots very slowly.
Yeah. And maybe if they can actually utilize V's power in the joining the dots, they will be able to get that one working. But no, as we move out onto the rift, we need to talk about WE's ability to get to this late game and carry themselves through, because they now have Mystic on an Ezreal that he's able to carry on sometimes, but doesn't have that massive late game threat that a Sivir does. Vladimir does have a lot of late game power, but do they have the damage to really augment the Hemo Plague? WE, to me, it honestly feels like they have to win early on if they're going to take this series.
Well, let's be clear. That Ezreal does have a ton of damage. I know he's not really known for that. He's more of kind of the mid-game power spike champion. But if you hit all of your abilities in that late game, Ezreal hits like a truck. And I think that people often underestimate his damage output simply because majority of players don't hit all of those skill shots.
I guess we have to think back to Deft. 50% damage that he managed to deal on Ezreal when he had a heck of a lot of other damage dealers. I believe that was an Azir on his team at that stage. So how do you do 50% of the damage? I don't know, but Deft does.
You hit all your skill shots. And more importantly, Mystic also does. He's very comfortable in the champion. He's one of the big top Ezreal players in the region, and we're stacked with a lot of talent in that particular department.
Most certainly are, but now back onto the rift. Thank goodness we got to go through the 957V comparison.
Someone out there knows the answer, and I want the answer.
Well,
who came first?
Tweet at lol Frostgreen. And let us know.
Spawn lol.
Well, no. He doesn't care. There's now Vici moving around the jungle, but it looks like it is going to be standard lanes as we hop into game number 2.
Reminder, this is 6.14, so
yes.
Standard lanes are because they're choosing so, not because it was nerfed.
Precisely. Zero able to grab himself some chimes. Now move back towards this Krug start. Of course, a start that's pretty good for the old Brad, who can just stun up both of them utilizing that Cosmic Binding. Feels pretty good.
Should be noted that Condi is on blue side Rek'Sai. We saw this in the EDG versus Invictus Gaming set yesterday, where a very fun path for Rek'Sai is to quickly take both of her buffs, although EDG actually just went for the red buff and then crossed over. And then rock up to that Gromp gank path behind the enemy bot lane, tunnel in, and set up a first blood.
Yeah.
So we'll see if Condi follows the similar thought process of Clear Love, if he's going to be a bit more farm-oriented.
And of course, Ashe relatively gankable at the same time. Do like the opportunity that they do have, as Shuantron somehow gets hit by that Mystic shot.
Just bending it around creeps. Should be noted that Condi, should be noted, never again.
Okay.
Condi is doing a traditional clear, so he's taking down all of his camps as opposed to going from buff to buff Scuttle Crab gank.
Yeah, just cleaning it all out. As Zero able to wander away from Caveman, who's on quite high health. Now, like you were saying, actually decides to skip red buff, looks for this Rift Scuttler. We'll take it down, but there's vision here available from Dandy, who's deciding not to contest, just wants to keep his eye on Condi's positioning.
Yep, continue to power farm. It's no sweat off his back to lose the Scuttle Crab this early.
Yep. And able to do his full clear. Actually left the Raptors up, so we'll be able to move back, grab those, look for the top lane Scuttle Crab if he wants to, and possibly a gank onto 957, who has this wave completely pushed.
It's really,
of course, able to set up quite nicely.
Just a methodical, slow clear from both junglers, although here comes the counter gank.
Yeah, in goes Dandy. Does find a lot of damage as Malefic Visions was doing some work, and the flash has to be used from Xie. Fantastic pathing from Dandy.
And that burns both summoners because the Ghost was also used aggressively from Xie, so flash and Ghost traded for a single summoner on Easy Hoon.
Yeah, Xie not going to go back to base, of course, has a lot of sustain. However, Easy Hoon now does have himself slight CS advantage. Feeling quite good now with only one summoner spell down.
And we talked about this at the start of Champion Select, that I value Malzahar over Vladimir right now, although Xie was the player to bring Vladimir into the LPL before he was then permabanned.
Of course, I believe Easy Hoon was the one that had Vladimir permabanned against him from the very first game this split. Very
comfortable with the matchup, but I think Malzahar just brings a little bit more, especially in the 1v1, as well as a more immediate kill threat with his ability to lock someone down.
And it's the fact that you have that relatively easy, I guess, gank opportunity for your jungler, but also the fact that you can keep the wave pushed out from the time that you get the majority of the buttons in order to do so. As Condi is looking for Long, gets the taunt, but Condi's still able to knock him up. Nice W goes down, saves him from most of the damage. And Long is going to be okay.
And of course, Long saw that gank incoming from Condi because he has a ward sitting down in his tri-brush. So just trying to get pretty cute and cheeky with the tower aggro.
And now Condi on the top side of the map means that Vici's bottom lane can breathe a little bit easier. At the moment, 10 CS behind as Mystic and Zero doing a lot of work denying this Vici bottom lane.
Range support versus melee support. Unfortunately for Caveman and Shuantron, they are at the mercy of Mystic and Zero. Zero is a phenomenal bard. I know Rusty likes to go on at length about all the cool things that Zero does on bard, and I'm sure we'll start to see them as the map opens up and he becomes a more crucial piece to making plays.
Yeah. And at the moment, what it's meant is that Mystic has an 11 CS lead, looking to continue putting down the pressure with these Mystic shots. Xie farming things out quite easily here underneath the turret, but Easy Hoon, he's going to go back, grab the first component of his Merlinomicon. Pretty standard build nowadays for the old Malzahar. Merlinomicon into the Rylai's Crystal Scepter, into something like Leandre's Torment.
And that's the beauty about Malzahar, is that he finds a 2-item power spike. Rylai's, we talk about this at length, affects every single one of his abilities. It's not so necessary to find the CDR for Malzahar because his Q, the cooldown is flat and fixed at 6 seconds.
Yep.
But I do like picking up the Ionian Boots because he's so reliant on his summoner spells, Ghost and Flash, and the 10% reduction, the only item that can, or the only item in the shop that helps lower that cooldown.
Yep, not to mention the fact that, you know, with less cooldown, more cooldown reduction, you get more of those voidlings, and it's always good to have your pets out as often as possible. Your dogs need to be walked. Something, otherwise, you know, they can get sad, things like that. Dandy clearing out his Raptor camp. Condi throws a Prey Seeker at him, but is otherwise going to leave the Graves unhindered as he heads towards his Krug camp. Only been seen in the mid lane so far, as she still behind against Easyhoon, who gets a really good fear. And look at these Voidlings just eating the Vladimir. Throws down the ultimate, gets it cleansed. Actually, QSS'd instantly, but it doesn't matter. He's just going to fall down. I'm not even sure how he died. That was a big pop.
Well, clearly Xie doesn't really recognize or respect the damage output that Malzahar can do, which is why he probably picked the Vladimir when Malzahar was up, and I think that the question has been answered now. It was an initial itemization into a QSS for Vladimir, so at least respecting the threat of the ultimate.
Yeah, and I have to admit, didn't see the QSS picked up, so that was surprising. But then Easyhoon's massive burst damages. Now Vici are diving the bottom lane. Xuan P easily picks up that kill. Mystic just caught backing.
And across the board, disaster for Team WE, and it's not often that Vici actually get a lead early. Typically, they just neutralize their lanes.
Yeah.
Come into the mid game and win through their objective and their neutral and monster objective control.
And how often does Vici win an isolated 2v2 on the bottom side of the map? Of course, they're not, theoretically, because they're still 10 CS behind. But that is going to be so huge for Xuan P. Nightmare for WE right now. 957, the last remaining bastion of hope for this team up towards the top side, winning out in his matchup against the Shen. But if anything, this is a wash. I mean, it's just two tanks beating on each other. Yep.
It'll just be a neutralized lane. Eventually, Shen's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Maokai is going to be fine. Shen obviously has more direct map impact with his stand united versus just the teleport on 957.
We mentioned it already, the fact that Vici, they're the ones that have a lot of late game answers. They've got so much damage. Graves able to scale beautifully into the late game. Easyhoon on the Malzahar only gets worse from level 1, and he's also pretty bad then.
And it's always so nice when Dandy is empowered by Vici to step up and to be the carry. We see this very early on. If, again, you reflect back to how Vici started their split, it was almost exclusively on the back of Dandy that they would find any sort of success. Easyhoon didn't really fit very well into the team makeup, you know, trying to find his feet, trying to find his responsibility within them. And yep. Dandy would have to hard lock in Graves almost every single time for them to get anywhere.
Well, Easyhoon actually has to blow his flash here in the mid lane. Doesn't use the Ghost, of course, didn't have it available just yet, but it will be off cooldown rather soon. Dandy now going to clean up his arch nemesis in the pink ward, but of course now with 4 shots instead of 5, it feels a lot better, because at least you only need to reload once. Good news. Long though, will find himself a taunt on a 957. Sap Magic, able to do a lot of work here to the Shen. Getting his health back, keeping him okay in the trade. Otherwise, not too much really going on there towards the top side of the map. Junglers farming out evenly. Easyhoon, 22 CS in the lead after that solo kill. So close to the Morellonomicon, which is so important. It's a standard item. He's going to build it every single time, but it's also fantastic against the Vladimir. Condi looking for a repeat gank.
Long does have flash as well as his taunt.
Well, Condi is going to still get the knocker.
Just needs to flash away.
Yeah, well, we'll see whether he actually uses it. Flashes, but doesn't get it very far, as Twisted Advance is able to lock it down, and 957 gets the kill. A little bit too easy.
Flashing to the wall doesn't help his case there.
No. That was an odd one. This Caveman avoids the Cosmic Binding towards the bottom side of the map. Dandy clearing out some tunnels on the top side as, whoop, in goes Condi. Dandy says, well, you're not going to be able to take that guy.
Takes it underneath his nose. The disrespect.
I know. At least Condi didn't really mind about the smoke screen, purely because he was already underground, so he couldn't see anything anyway. His Cosmic Binding lands on the Caveman. Mystic doing a lot of damage back, but there's the door. Zero in trouble.
Here comes
Gets
Dandy.
stunned. Condi's going to come in. Dandy moving down, but Zero falls first. Mystic now able to do a lot of work onto Caveman, but he's alive for so long and will fall down as the taunt from Lung comes in. Xuan P in trouble, will get destroyed as 957 grabs that one, but Easy Hoon now looking for more. Has the ultimate at the ready if WE want to find anything. And Xie is moving down. W actually want this? It's a 3v3, but it's very dangerous with a Nethergrass there.
A big issue, though, is that Easy Hoon doesn't have a lot of mana in terms of a resource for him available. So Xie definitely sitting in a better situation there. And with both bottom laners dead and everyone collectively in the mid lane, it looks like we're just going to reset the map and take the 2-for-2 trade.
Yeah. So Vici probably still happy. They're still ahead by about 400 gold. Got themselves a BF sword on the Ashe as well as that recurve bow, so looking to grab that extra flat damage into the Hurricane, but 3-1-0 now. Xuan P has really been set up. He's got a lot of money.
And we already have a swap coming out from Team WE, so foregoing the Dragon, it is an early Mountain Drake. And now...
Oh, looking for Zero as Magical Journey, not going to get taken by the Vici bottom lane. Zero here towards the top side means that WE don't have position for the Dragon. And Easy Hoon's going to go back to base, so Nomicon is going to be ready. Still ahead by so much farm. Completely ridiculous. Grabs himself another book as well as his boots.
So what Team WE were trying to do is that because Mystic is now so far behind Xuan P, they're fine giving up the Dragon as long as they can find Mystic a free lane to sit and farm in, which is away from that Ashe. So they were trying to dodge the 2v2 matchup. Xuan P and Caveman, pretty much no. Yeah. You're fighting us, we're going toe-to-toe. This 3-1 and Ashe is about to become your worst nightmare.
Does want to try and execute on that one in order to get back up in the farm. Mystic has been farming very, very nicely as Easy Hoon does at least still have the shield available. Xie is going to eat a lot of damage from the Voidlings if he can't run away. Does so as Zero dodges out of the way of Caveman. Gets the slow from the Meep Slap. Now they're looking to try and steal away this blue buff. Exactly what WE were looking for last game. This time, though, Vici do so successfully.
And again, it's because they're continuing to exploit the fact that their duo lane is ahead of Team WE. So they're going to continue to play on that strong side of the map and eke out small advantages within Condi's jungle.
Well, Condi going to get spotted as he takes away the Rift Scuttler. Definitely good to make sure that Vici can't get any sneaky dragons. As Lung down towards the bottom side. Barmy Cinder now in hand. Going towards Spirit Visage then next. And we'll see whether he still goes for the Tiamat with that extra Barmy Cinder wave clear that he already has.
Here comes the assassination, though, mid. The kill threat of 100-0, pretty much any champion within the duration of Malzahar's ultimate with Graves burst damage is very high.
Oh, yeah. As there's the Stand United. Caveman just looking for Mystic. Gets himself the taunt. Looks too easy as they get saved from the turret damage by a Tempered Fate.
Looked incredibly ridiculous as well. Braum just...
yeah.
He's got the shin on.
And you could actually hear it, couldn't you? It was, you know, the panting as he was heading towards him.
He just muscled his way in there.
Did make it. Did most certainly make it. Xie now farming once again against Easy Hoon, but it's getting more and more difficult. The fact that the Malzahar just does so well into this lane, still baffling. The Vladimir first pick as Lung picks up Soul Gold, that top lane outer turret. Get himself back in a very comfortable position in his matchup against 957.
Typically what Team WE do from here is that they'll try to get a deep freeze on that top side of the map, feed and funnel that gold into Mystic, because again, it's really all about him hitting that core itemization. We'll see if Vici are able to punish, though, if Team WE look for a deep freeze. I'd like to see them exploit pressure either on the bottom side of the map or in the mid.
Well, at the moment, they are heading towards that bot side as Xie has to deal with the purple disease.
And it's actually 957 who's going to be the benefactor of holding this wave. Long does manage to get it into the tower, so it will bounce.
Yeah, definitely good. As the Shen now going to move back towards the top side with his Chain Vest and Spirit Visage in hand.
And more importantly, his teleport and...
Stand United.
Stand United not quite available.
Yeah, almost off cooldown.
But having the TP is big.
will be able to answer anything 957 is doing. Of course, no mid laner this time does have the teleport. It was Xie that had it last time around, but wasn't able to really effectively use it on the Karma.
We're looking for an Ashe Arrow bottom. Vici want to pull the trigger on this dragon. That's why Condi's down here and also spotted out by a ward, but you're starting to see all the chess pieces being moved down here. Dandy waiting in the wings. EasyHoon trying to chunk out Xie.
Yeah, getting him as low as possible. If there's ever a champion that can actually win a trade against a Vladimir, it's probably a Malzahar.
He's been doing that so far.
Yeah, it's Condi looking for EasyHoon. They do get rid of the shield, but throws down the Nether Grasp. In goes Dandy. They want to find the Rek'Sai, but do they have the damage? Good knock up onto Dandy, who's taking a lot as Lung misses the Shadow Dash. 957 gets his way across, but the arrow lands. Xie will fall down. Malefic Visions helps out as Caveman grabs the kill. Tempered Fate locks up the Maokai for the moment. It's not what they want, however, as Dandy isn't even going to fall. It's 3 swift kills in response to WE from Vici.
And Vici came to play today. Yes, the match doesn't mean anything for Team WE, but it does mean something for Vici. If I may lose and if they win here, they could possibly avoid a single best of 5 in that weighted gauntlet.
Massive for this Vici team, as look at Dandy's damage. You see numbers like 1800 at, 30 minutes into the game. Right now, he's doing a heck of a lot of work. Instrumental on this Graves. They take the outer turret in the mid lane. Might look towards the dragon, but there's still a lot of vision here for WE.
Of course, it's a mountain drake, so not as important as something like an infernal, although it certainly would help them at this point in the game. Because typically around the 20-minute mark is where you're going to be breaking those structures and possibly looking for a cheeky Baron anyway, especially when you have someone like Malzahar who can burn through monster objectives so effectively.
With about 60 Voidlings.
His horde, his army atlas.
Yeah. Menagerie. Of course, I think they have to be birds when it's a menagerie, so it's probably not a good word.
Just because they don't fly doesn't mean they're not birds.
That's true. They could be little penguins. If only it was Snow Day Malzahar. Could have been actually relevant.
That's just a missed opportunity on the skin.
Yeah. We'll have to... I'll write a letter.
You send it in.
Yeah, I will. As EasyHoon continues to clear things out. Malefic Vision's doing a bunch of work as Condi heads over the top, but there's another Nether Grasp. Dandy here at the right place at the right time. A little bit of a miscommunication as Long did come down on top of the Malzahar. Did move away, did EasyHoon. Now Vici create enough space to try and go for this dragon.
Or the bottom tower, possibly both.
Yeah.
Maybe even a Mystic, depending on how dangerously he wants to live.
Well, P is thinking about living dangerously himself. Just clearing out this minion wave before he takes down the turret. He does so quite easily. Caveman down here as well. So now 3 turrets to 1 as all of the outers fallen in quick succession for Vici, much like what WE did game 1.
Vici are starting to systematically dismantle Team WE.
Yeah. Condi unable to find anything in his own jungle as well as Dandy once again going to be taking things away. That smite, not enough as EasyHoon just dashing towards Xie. Does have the Nethergrass coming up very soon as the shield does fall down, but the Ghost just doing so much work.
He's got his ultimate available.
Has the Rylai's Crystal Scepter as well, so no one can really get much done as Mystic finds himself the red buff. Decent ultimate comes out, but collateral damage is there. Dandy moves out of the way. Tempered Fate can't find anyone as now Condi looking for EasyHoon. Does get the flash to start things up as Zero doesn't find the stun. And EasyHoon will fall down. Oh my goodness, not just yet. Ultimate comes up. Condi's going to fall. EasyHoon eventually goes down, but it's at the cost of 2 members of WE. Xie now in a decent position. Crimson Rush does a lot of work. 957 relatively low, but Caveman's the focus. Takes him down with a Vengeful Maelstrom, but look at P still doing work. Dandy picks up the kill on the tree. Lung finds his way over the top onto Mystic, who will have to kite this one out like a god. P there as well. Mystic just uses the Arcane Shift aggressively. Lung in trouble, but he's going to get himself out of the way. P makes sure he gets Mystic away, and it's still a 1-5 for Vici.
And it's a one-man army for Team WE. Mystic played well in the first series. He just had to deal with so much hard CC. And game number 2 on his signature Ezreal pick, he is Mystic. And he's nailing these Mystic shots. But is it enough?
Even more. P having to back away, but I don't know whether it is for Oscarin. Looking very, very difficult, especially when EasyHoon can get flashed on by Condi.
What's
3
hilarious
people on top of him and still manage to come out the victor.
Is that the 30 seconds leading to that big fight, all you could see were assist ping. Guys, I can kill them. Guys, come mid, I can kill them. Guys, if you just come mid, I can kill them.
Yep. But look, they didn't come quite quickly enough.
They were zoned out by Zero's Bard. But it just very cute. I just imagine Easyhoon just being like,
guys.
I could have done that earlier. Before there were 4 people.
And I feel like he wanted to as well.
Oh, he definitely did.
Condi turned up a little bit too fast for Xie to fall down. Of course, he did have that QSS, so probably didn't want to throw down the Nether Grasp too quickly. Now WE, at least able to clear out their own jungle. Chuan P is moving towards the top side. You've got Lung on the bottom side. Stand United at the ready.
Here's the trap.
Yeah, just seeing a bit of bait. As Easyhoon and Dandy just waiting for someone to walk towards this brush. As soon as they do, they're dead. Flat out dead. There's Zero. Yeah, see you later, buddy. That is going to be it. As Easyhoon grabs it with a Nether Grasp. It's all too easy for Vici.
Not necessarily the pick that they were looking for. Yes, it's nice to take down Zero, although the contestation for Smite is still available.
It certainly is, as now Chuan P looking to try and kite out 957. Good positioning of the Maokai, but he's taking so much damage. There's the slow from the volley as Lung gets the Shadow Dash. They deal with the tree as Mystic gets himself into the backline. Chuan P in trouble as Xie is able to get the work done. Dandy kiting things around beautifully in the backline. They get rid of the Vladimir. Condi is going to fall down. Smoke screen for the style points. Locks down the kill as Easyhoon wants to find Mystic. The flash comes in. Mystic does at least managed to get out with that kill, but can he get out with his life is the real question. Zero's back up. Lung looking for the reach around. Over the top goes Mystic. The door is there as Dandy wants to kite this one out. Mystic, can he do it? Good taunt from Lung, but that was so damn close. And now Zero can't deal with the Shen. Oh my goodness, I saw you there, Frosker, and you were just waiting for him to do it.
He was a god! I'm disappointed for Mystic's team.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He played it so beautifully and then just couldn't quite find it in the end. Lung Shen able to land the Shadow Dash.
Okay.
Deny.
Mystic's moving up. Mystic on Ezreal, he gets to play in the same ballpark as Deft, Uzi, and Imp. That is all.
You happy to do it?
Yes, I'll say it. Mystic,
right.
You are a god on that champion. I am so sorry.
Well, I think it's the rest of his team that has to be a little bit sorry because Xie went a little bit too deep. 957 tried to get the engage, but the rest of the team really wasn't there for him. And look at Lung. 0, 1, and 13. This guy gets everywhere. I've now worked out why Shen is a ninja. It's because he just pops up out of nowhere. You know, it's not that he's, you know, stealthy, because he's not. Shen's never been. But Lung just seems to be everywhere.
Again, a bit of disrespect from Team WE in the draft phase, allowing Vici to pick up such potent picks like the Shen for Long, like the Malzahar for Easyhoon, Dandy getting onto his graves, but you have to kind of tilt your head. Makes a little bit of sense, you know, maybe Team WE taking a bit easy. This game doesn't mean anything for them. Vici, of course, they have to go hard on the paint because they want to move into that 3rd place seed.
But I think it is actually important for WE to try and dodge out of the way of Vici.
But at the same time, you also don't want to show your hand going into playoffs, and this is a staple standard Team WE comp. If you're preparing for WE, you know that they run these champions.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, Vici have started off in this Baron one more time. Scrying Orb comes in. The Purple Worm is going to get discovered. WE moving on over. Mystic throwing down some attacks, but look at these Voidlings. Still tanking up this Baron. It's not even going to reset yet. Okay, now it goes. It's Easyhoon relatively low. Dandy as well. WE unable to lock that one up.
Yeah, not willing to pull the trigger or pull Long across map. Instead, leaving him down there to his own devices. And now Team WE with the inside track on mid tower.
Yeah, 5 members here as well. So 957 relatively healthy at the moment.
This is big because Chuan P is in the base, so they should be able to take the structure relatively for free, or at least some massive chip damage.
They do
Watch
a
for
lot
the
of
arrow.
damage to it, yeah. Can Chuan P find it? He's still walking up this mid lane. See whether he can get onto the priority target as Xie is actually moving himself right in front of his team. He's got the QSS. More than happy to tank that arrow if he'd like to, as well as having the pull to get out of the way of it. That button at the same time.
Also really important, Easyhoon doesn't have his flash, so just relying on that ghost or first CC so he can follow it up with his secondary CC.
Yep. And my goodness, Dandy is so big this game. 5-0 and 5. Has his Phantom Dancer, has his Maw of Malmortius. Looks like Void Staff, the next item here for EasyHoon, wants to make sure he's doing as much damage as possible, as WE really want this tower, but can they even get it? EasyHoon's just got so much wave clear from such a safe distance as Caveman off to the side. Dandy has the Stand United on top of him. Lung doesn't get the taunt onto Mystic, but 957's going to fall down. Xuan P nails the arrow onto Zero. Maybe not the priority as Mystic gets out of the way, but a Shadow Dash does. Instantly cleanses out of it though, as Mystic's still kiting this one. QSS so beautifully used as Dandy still there, but there's the flash taunt. Mystic's going to die. Xuan P grabs the kill. The pull's used from Xie. That's to get the heck out of dodge, and now Vici will be able to go towards the Baron.
Long is a monster on Shen. Any team that has to, as I say that, right to the wall. Well done, Long.
Celebratory wall bash.
Okay, other than that,
yep,
Long should not get Shin. It should be permabanned away from him.
That teamfight was beautiful out of the man. As Condi looking to steal it, can't do it. Prince of Thieves locks that one down. Dandy secures the kill onto Condi at the same time, gets himself some revenge, and Vici now ready to push forward.
And we're in the exact same scenario that we were in Game 1, a 10k gold difference between these two teams, and Vici the one on top.
Except this time, Vici have been on top the entire game. Look at Dandy's damage in this fight as he's looking to take down Zero. Can he do it? Needs another auto as the exhaust is there. Flashes on top, grabs the kill as the Tides of Blood over the side. Dandy survived for way too long there. Shadow Dash doesn't find the taunt as Caveman turns up a little bit too late as well. Long unable to secure the kill onto Xie. That is just, that's silly.
And you have to think Zero's having flashbacks to 2014 finals. He's like, no, not again.
Oh dear. Of course, Style and Royal Club versus Samsung. But yeah, Dandy, pretty powerful at the moment. Was asserting his dominance just a little bit. Oh, I like it. EasyHoon actually decides to pick up the AP components of his Liandry's Torment. So the Void Staff, not the option. Decides to turn those two things into that Liandry's just to make sure he does as much damage to the big tanky members. As now a fight's going to break out. Nice double knock up onto 957 and Condi as the arrow whiffs onto Condi. The auto attack's still going to be there. Concussive blows ties him up as 957 takes the Malefic Visions over to the side. Condi is going to fall. The Ocean Drake goes to Vici. They just seem to be able to do no wrong.
They have such a great comp, and I like the fact that EasyHoon did itemize to take down the tanky members, because if you notice in the last team fight, he actually ulted 957.
Yeah.
But you're able to do that when you have Graves as your secondary damage output, and Ashe, Xuan P putting in work on the back line.
Oh my goodness. Mystic almost gets killed by little Voidlings as the Malefic Visions will be able to take him down. EasyHoon is so big. 6-2 and 11 now. As, yeah, 3-item spike on a Malzahar, that's a big deal. And you can't kite that.
2-item power spike is a big deal on Malzahar. 3 is just overkill.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he's in the game.
Well, at the moment, EasyHoon's showing us exactly why that is the case. We've seen Malzahar lose some games. Definitely not too many, as this inner turret now under fire, and he's just on his own.
Well,
doesn't care
at all.
The thing
is the champions that not beat Malzahar, but answer Malzahar are people like Talia, Aurelian Soul, Twisted Fate, champions that move around and impact the side lanes.
Yeah, they don't actually beat Malzahar. Yeah. They just leave.
He's like Sivir. You're not laning against Malzahar. You're laning against the creeps in Malzahar's army of minions.
Well, inner turret falls.
Vladimir doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah. And at the moment, 1-3-1 is going to turn into a 1-4 as Vici going to try and consolidate here around this inhibitor turret. Xie gets silence. Good Tempered Fate lands onto Caveman, but he's not necessarily the target that WE are looking for. And now Lung's going to turn up, possibly set themselves up for some sort of dive, but not deciding to go for it yet.
Is it a good Tempered Fate then?
I don't know.
Good trajectory, but...
Well, Mystic's going to get silenced. Condi actually looking for this fight as Stand United comes in. There's another ultimate from EasyHoon, but he's used onto the Vladimir, who just QSS's it away. Mystic trying to kite, but look at the low health bars of WE. Lung, can he find more? He can. The Malefic Visions is going to launch his way through WE. It's a double kill. Doesn't go to Condi, thank goodness, but Lung is going to stun up Zero. The exhaust comes in, but you can't exhaust 4 people, and Vici are inside the base of WE at 30 minutes.
This is no longer a 45-minute game. Vici have just run over Team WE. We said WE, they're probably not going to fall into this trap again. They're on blue side. They'll switch up their draft. They'll respect Vici. Complete opposite. They gave them so many power picks. They gave them the game in Champions League.
And Condi's given up completely. He's on the bottom side of the map. Nexus is going to fall. Vici with an even more dominant victory over WE to finish it off 2-0. And they are going to be heading into that 3rd seed as opposed to the 4th. The weighted best of 3 now belongs to Vici as they go up against either Newbie or Invictus Gaming. Oh, actually, no, it doesn't yet. RNG still need to beat IMA. I'm getting ahead of myself. But this is all that they could do in order to get there.
Well, to be fair, Vici looking good, so I'm excited with you, Atlas.
Yeah.
You know, riding the wave that, yes, Vici looked good going into playoffs. Typically, this team does ramp up quite hard when it comes into that gauntlet season. They did very well last split in the year previous to that, so hopefully they'll be able to make a run towards that top 3 this time around.
Yeah, and we'll see whether they can actually make it there, because now, if they do make it in, they get to go up against WE one more time. And of course, WE will probably be taking that series a lot better, but the confidence boost that you get knowing that you can already beat this team and do so in that fashion is huge for this roster.
Definitely have to underline, though, that series meant nothing for Team WE. They didn't reveal anything, so it's hard to really judge, you know, was that Team WE giving it their all, or was that them sitting back saying, we're second anyway, we can't move, let's just pick a very bare basic comp and sit back and ride this one out.
Yeah, one thing I do like, though, on the side of Vici is that, no, they didn't necessarily play it like they were just resting on their laurels, playing out Vici compositions, but they did show flexibility. First off, I mean, not necessarily in Lung's pick on the top side of the map. That Shen was god tier both games, but they played with a Hecarim. They played with a Malzahar and a Graves. They had completely different ways to win games 1 and 2, but they did so perfectly for their compositions both times.
But that's the main takeaway for Vici and Vici Gaming fans. It's this idea that it's no longer just about Dandy being that hard carry for the team. They can actually 5v5 now. It used to be that they couldn't 5v5 their way out of a wet paper bag, which is why they were dominated in a region that's all about team fighting. But they've got their 5v5 now. Their vision control has always been very superior. They're great at moving around the map. One of the most dominating teams when they're playing ahead. And like you said, now they're showing different composition, different champion matchups. So Vici really rounding themselves out as a very well, even-keeled team.
Yeah, they most certainly do. And one thing I want to talk about is this AD carry swap. Do you see it continuing throughout the playoffs? Do you think that they'll decide on an AD carry moving in? And if so, which AD carry do you choose?
It's so hard to say because I honestly don't think that Vici understand who is better than the other in terms of, like, even just their play style.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we're not sitting in comms with them, so we don't know if maybe it completely changes the dynamic of the team and how they work, having Xuan versus Endless. Right now, just kind of off the back, it's like Endless is your Kog'Maw player, Xuan is your Twitch player. But Xuan looked great on the Ashe there. Both of these teams have been with Vici for a significant amount of time. Xuan I don't know if he was there longer than Endless, but it's not just this split. I know that Xuan rejoined the roster as a sub, but he was on the team previously, so Vici have a lot of experience with both these ADCs.
Yeah, and of course, Endless has had, I guess, the longest time in the spotlight here on the bottom side of the map as far as consistent time with the team. Was the only AD carry for a little while.
The last time Xuan was on the roster was when Dandy was in top lane.
Aha. It was an interesting time on Summoner's Rift when Danny was a top laner, but of course didn't vary up his champion pool all that much. That Hecarim still well and truly in his wheelhouse and looked fantastic on the champion. And once again, Dandy getting to that point at the same time, playing that full tank Hecarim, one of the only junglers here to play Hecarim and build full tank, which is actually quite interesting.
No, I completely agree, but it's now, if you need a playbook or a blueprint to beat Vici, you have to target out that Hecarim, you have to take away the Shen, and we expect that when it comes time for playoffs, that teams won't let them have these power picks. So yes, it's nice. Vici, they look more well-rounded. They look like they've developed a lot on different fronts and how to play the game, but will they have the same success when they don't have the Malzahar, when they don't have the Shen? And that's the question to be answered in playoffs now.
But I actually really like it because we did see that against Vici, it was all about banning out EasyHoon. What you had to do was target that man's, I guess, relatively slim champion pool so that you had an idea about what he was going to default to. Now, with the fact that you have to ban Hecarim, have to ban Shen, Lung's such a beast there towards the top side of the map. It's very, very scary. We are going to see who's going to be our MVP for game number 2, though. As Vici's representative is once again going to be Caveman. 5, 2, and 19, 89% kill contribution. The Braum did look good. I don't know whether it was necessarily the MVP, though.
I mean, anytime your support gets MVP, it typically means that the team as a whole were just phenomenal across the board, which I think is very fair to say for Vici that game.
Yeah.
There wasn't a bad lane in any of them. Should be noted, they did win the 2v2 outright by themselves.
And that is not something you often get to say about Vici, as now you can see towards the bottom side of the map, Zero getting stunned up. And the arrow landing afterwards. This was a fantastic fight for Vici, but turned around okay for WE.
And the fact that Caveman's able to leap to Easy Hoon's side here and keep him alive for so much longer than we thought possible.
Yeah, gets down the key exhaust in that fight as well. No one could really do anything to get out of the way. So it was nicely played by Caveman. I do want an honorable mention to go to Dandy, who was 5-0-5 at the beginning of that game. There was a point where 16 kills in for Vici. We had Lung sitting up with 0, 1, and 13. If you want to be a utilitarian top laner on Shen, that is how you do it. That's the sort of scoreline you want to have. So definitely a team effort.
Yep, that's not even bringing up Easy Hoon on the Malzahar, who was running around at like 6, 1, and 7 for a good portion of that, as well as drawing multiple resources, 2v1 a lot of the time in that mid lane, and really just putting Xie in the bin there.
Yeah, getting that solo kill when Xie heads into lane with a QSS, with the sole idea of saying, well, I've nullified one of his buttons completely. I can win now. Just flat out
and
wasn't
then just
the case.
Straight up dies to the Malefic Visions as well as the Voidlings there.
Yeah, and I think it was actually the silence that came in right on the edge of the range for Easy Hoon as well that was really able to chunk out the Malzahar towards the end because it looked extraordinarily impressive.
But moving forward now, it does mean that looking at the playoff bracket, that theoretically RNG should beat IMA, although let's hold our breath on that one. RNG is still in a bit of a slump. IMA known to kind of upset and surprise a lot of teams. That match will be played later on tonight. Vici will face across from Snake, I believe, if they take that 3rd place seed. Yes? No?
Yes.
I'm actually looking for confirmation. This is
no. If they take the 3rd place seed, they'll face off against WE if they can beat either IG or Newbie, whoever gets into that position.
There we go. So the weighted gauntlet, how it works is that you have to win a best of 5. The farther that you get up, the more circuit points that you get. So even if you drop, it's still very important that you get as far as you can into that playoff gauntlet because your circuit points are then taken at the end of it and it determines your world qualifiers placement. So again, we have the LPL playoffs coming up, which will determine the LPL title holder. And then we have the world's qualifier gauntlet coming up. So it's still very important, even if Vici don't think that they can be the LPL champions, that they get a shot at representing China at Worlds by getting as far as they can, getting as many points as they can, and getting a nice seed into that bracket.
Yeah, which means getting 3rd place is so incredibly important because it means that their outlook on the playoffs is so much better. Considering the fact that they do get that guaranteed run, if they can beat either IG or Newbie, they go up against WE, a team that they have already beaten, and that gets themselves towards the semis up against either RNG or EDG. I'm not entirely sure which side of the bracket they are on. So.
But honestly, it's a big question mark of, who are the top 3 teams in China? Like, who theoretically is going to represent China? You have a clear-cut winner in EDG. We expect them to at least be one of the seeds going to China because they've just been such a dominant team looking towards that perfect season. But then is it Team WE? Will RNG, the MSI representatives, join them? Or will we have a dark horse like Snake, like Invictus Gaming, like Vici, now kind of make a final upset and a miracle run towards that 3rd and final seed?
I actually love the fact that you mentioned Invictus Gaming as well because I still think that there is a big chance that they'll make it through. Their game against Newbie is extraordinarily important. If they can win at 2-0 though, not only does that guarantee them that 4th place in Group A, but also shows that they have made the right improvements to get themselves there. So even if they win 2-1, that goes to time-based because it evens out the head-to-head. So we have to calculate exactly how long it took them to beat each other, all that sort of stuff, and a victor will be decided on.
And it's even more possible to make a run for a world showing simply because LGD will not be showing up. They had a very poor spring split. They had an even worse summer split now, and they don't have enough points to qualify themselves for that tournament. Yeah,
very unfortunate, as LGD have been a staple as far as making it into playoffs especially. They don't often make it into playoffs in a good position, but they often come out of the playoffs looking damn good because this is a team that's very good at miracle runs. Just unfortunately, they didn't have enough of an early start to this split to get themselves there.
They've just been plagued with organization and kind of finding the momentum early enough to give them a good start, just either through roster substitutions, injuries. You think about PYL not being available for a good portion of the time, coaching and staff issues, just unfortunately LGD as an organization collapsing.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. Of course, OMG, another team that we're not going to see, a team that has been overseas to so many different events as an organization, but at the moment still finding themselves out. Excited to see them in the next game just because OMG have looked better and better over the last few games despite the results.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, Team WE were kind of making the case that maybe they took it a little bit easy on Vici. They didn't want to show their hand. The match didn't mean anything to them. But going into OMG versus LGD, that match doesn't mean anything. That's literally yesterday we had Saint versus Snake. That match meant nothing. It was explosive. It was gory. It was volatile. I'm expecting the exact same thing from OMG and LGD next series. I would definitely stick around to watch that one because I'm sure both these teams will be incredibly explosive. They're very 5v5 skirmish heavy teams.
Not to mention the fact that Wayless played Trinity Force into Gunblade Corki and managed to win a game. So, look, anything can happen, and anything can happen well for LGD. That's the ridiculous part.
It's also about highlighting the new jungler Intruder, who has had an excellent start to his LPL career so far. You know, his opening game against the likes of Swift, finding multiple 1v1 stylish kills there. So should stay tuned for that one. I think Intruder is definitely a face to watch. Yeah,
most certainly is. As we look back to Vici versus WE, a 2-0 victory for Vici. They looked fantastic. Of course, we're going to have a look at some of the highlights right now as P was able to dominate this bottom lane. They managed to start up the fights well. Zero was just singled out completely by the Ashe.
And how often do you get to say that about Vici's bottom lane? Historically, it's been a weak point for them, something that many teams will exploit.
Yeah.
This time around, stepping up, Caveman on that Braum, definitely worthy of that MVP title.
And the ridiculous thing is the fact that Mystic still played like an absolute beast this game. His Ezreal still looks brilliant, but unfortunately, it just didn't really matter as that arrow was so close.
There was never a time when Mystic had his team standing in front of him, Team WE just getting split apart and ripped apart, and Mystic kind of left to his own devices to try to use his kit as best as he can.
And 957 as well did get himself into really good aggressive positions that just didn't quite work.
I'm sad that replay didn't continue to go because Mystic plays out the back of it very well.
Well, we do have this replay at least, where at the back of this one he plays it out to the best of his ability. Did manage to get the pick onto P with the help of Xie. And now the rest of his team gets destroyed and Mystic takes them on a merry ride. I wonder, oh, we're not going to see that one either. Oh, very upsetting.
It's okay, because at the end of the day, Mystic showed up on Team WE, but Vici, every single member of the team showed up, and that's what counts for the win.
Yeah, exactly right. And look, they utilized their compositions fantastically, Game 1 and Game 2. This one was all about Dandy having that damage, the fact that EasyHoon could then set him up. We saw them sitting in death brushes together, setting the trap, making sure that they could lock down WE, and they did so beautifully.
Completely agree. So now it's just about, can they continue to be as beautiful as they were in this last series? I hope so. I am a Vici fan, and I would like to see them run the gauntlet towards playoffs.
And we'll see whether they can do it. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to a short break. When we get back, our next two series, LGD versus OMG and IMA versus RNG. Stick around.